book his tickets for Endgame. He's a bit late in the game.
Missed the boat.
Wait, did he need me to tell you, Mike? Because I've already got mine sorted. Just saying.
Yeah, well, where are you going?
I'm getting the one in Wandsworth.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Like, suppose going to see it with a family, so it's like just good in between point between us all.
I'd rather go to
Mike's not family? What's that about, Ed?
Mike, he's brother from another mother.
Yeah, well, I didn't get Endgame tickets, though, did I?
To be quite honest, my favourite cinema, although it's really small, is there's one in Clapham. It's one of the picture. Is it called Picture House?
Yeah, I've been there before.
Those ones where you can go to the bar, order a beer, and then go into the film with your beer. I think that is awesome.
Yeah, there's another one, but Bayswater was the first one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I went to that actually 2 weeks ago.
The Bayswater one?
Nah, the one in oh god, it was in Central, so I think it's just Oxford Street or Tonical, right?
The Roxy, that one, or
No, it's called Picture House. It's a Picture House. Yeah. Went to see Green Book, which
is that good?
I would never think a story like that, because it seems like the story of racism in America has been told many, many times over films.
Yeah.
But I thought this film was brilliant. I mean, it was really, really interesting and funny and really deep at times, and it was just shown really well. And I really liked the actor in it. I'm going to butcher his name, Mahershala Ali. Is that because he's in True Detective season 3? I don't know if you guys watched that.
I watched the first season, which was brilliant.
Season 1 is the best season by far.
I heard it wasn't worth it after season 1. That's
No,
what I heard.
no.
I'm
Season
not
2
seeing
is
any, but
the
rubbish.
second season I watched about 3 episodes and didn't watch any more.
You saved yourself 5 hours.
Because I thought it was going to be quite an interesting concept with having
Vince Vaughn
as a bad guy, which I thought would be quite.
It just doesn't work though, innit? Because you just see him as a funny guy. Like, I see Vince Vaughn as Vince Vaughn in everything. He's like he's just Vince Vaughn, yeah. And he plays like this sort of gangster in it, which doesn't work. But I tell you what, season 3's really good. It's not as good as season 1, but and Mahershala Ali's in it, and he's just fantastic. And in Green Book, I thought he was just spot on. Yeah, it was really quite heartwarming, actually, that film. Really good film. Yeah, so Picture House cinemas are great. That's my point. They are. It might have been the cinema that I like more than the movie, but I don't know. Yeah.
Well, did you get your beer and then go and see it?
It chills you out,
it's really weird doing it. I think the first time I went to a Picture House was to see Django Unchained.
Oh, amazing film.
Love that film.
Amazing film.
I loved it. It was a great film.
Yeah.
It was a great
I actually
film.
still haven't seen it.
You've not seen Django Unchained. It is.
Calm down.
It is. It's not historically accurate, but I love the way that
It's entertaining.
Tarantino, he almost makes it like a comic book. Like
I know what you mean.
It's almost like a comic. It's just mental the way that he does it. But it is a great film, and I think
Ed, you need to see it.
You need to see it.
I've got it on Netflix.
And DiCaprio,
Christopher Waltz?
Yeah.
He's
DiCaprio
amazing.
He won an Oscar for that, didn't he?
Did he?
I think he won
Because Tarantino found him in like the second tier of German cinema, just doing like your average sort of thing, and
he's like a B-movie actor,
yeah. And now he's
Oscar winning actor.
What's his face? Isn't he old? Who was it in Bond?
Blofeld. Yeah.
But he's amazing, and
DiCaprio.
Leonardo DiCaprio is.
He's got to be the best actor in the world, isn't he? Surely.
I think he is.
Who's better
Do you know what? It
DiCaprio?
took him long enough to win an Academy Award. But I think
do you know what? I mean, let's be
honest.
He done a lot of shit, like The Beach, and Romeo and
I
Juliet.
actually like The Beach. I know a lot of people don't like it, but
and he took that break though, didn't he? And then he came back, and he's just.
Do you know what it was? It was Shutter Island.
Fantastic.
Turned
I haven't
him
seen
around
that
for me.
Shutter
Edward,
Island.
man.
It's one of the best films. Yeah.
Edward, get your head out your fucking arse. What are you
The
doing?
Revenant. Have you seen The Revenant?
No, I haven't seen The Revenant.
Oh, that's why he won the Oscar, right?
I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah,
Mate, like again with his anti-Arsenal bias.
Oh.
No, it's anti-knobhead bias.
Mate,
And you're being a knobhead.
to be honest, like with cinema, unless I'm kind of just there for the spectacle. Like really, as in the Marvel, the Bond, the Star Wars. I'm kind of there for that, you know. Like other things like that that don't really have that hype with it. I kind of just watch it on Netflix if I have the
just
time.
do that then. But like Shutter Island, oh my god, you have to watch that. I thought that was a great.
I've heard a lot about it as well.
Brilliant movie.
I heard and like it's one of the films like The Prestige. I've heard a lot about that as well, but I haven't seen it either. So it's kind of just on my list.
That's underrated. Not many people talk about that film.
Yeah,
but
it's Christopher Nolan. That's kind of why it's on my list as well, because I like him.
Yeah, and it's got Hugh Jackman and Christian Bale.
Yeah.
And mate, that's one of the best films I've seen.
In terms of spectacle,
top 10.
I say Christopher Nolan film is up there, but I didn't see that. What was that? What's the one he put out a couple years ago? What's the one about the military? No, about the British. What's it? I can't even remember what that film's called.
What was it about?
Wait. All right. Talk amongst yourselves. I'm gonna research.
You have seen the Batman Christopher Nolan?
Yeah, no, I've seen,
good, yeah.
And also,
I was about to call the end to the podcast, and I was like, we got nothing in common. We don't know each other.
And I saw Interstellar as well.
Okay.
Rubbish.
What, you didn't like it?
Didn't like it. I thought it was all a bit over the top, and I liked the concept of them being on that planet, and every minute they're there, it's like 10 years of their life or something, isn't it?
Yeah.
A minute is
because
a year,
it's near a black hole and like time distorts. And
I mean that, but then the whole bookshelf bit and all that, I just thought
that was
it
a bit
was all
weird.
a bit.
Yeah, at the end when
Dunkirk was the name of that
out,
film I was talking about. Yeah,
you don't really want to ruin the film, but yeah, at the end when that happens, I just kind of felt, really?
Yeah, it was all a bit strange. Yeah, but see, I like Matthew McConaughey as well.
Inception's one of my favourite films as well. I love Inception.
Inception's good.
Yeah, I love that.
A lot of people see that and think that it's not a great film, but I thought Inception was.
I loved it.
I thought it was spot on.
And have you seen Memento as well?
Yeah.
That's a really good film. I recommend that.
Well, we can't really talk about it without spoiling it, can we?
Yeah,
you can't. Okay.
Yeah.
The only thing I say about Memento is
that,
you can't watch it twice. Because I think the twist is
Who's in it? Who stars?
Guy Pearce, and I think
I like Guy.
Yeah, it's a good film.
Yeah, I can't remember her name, but she played Trinity in The Matrix as well.
Okay, yeah.
I can't remember her name, but yeah.
Not very attractive.
Whoa.
She's not though, is she?
Wait, mate. I don't know. Whatever. It's like, courses for courses, all that stuff. Isn't it?
Listen, I'm just saying what everyone thinks. I mean, come on now.
She was in Humans as well. That Channel 4.
I never watched that as well.
That was I liked
To be honest, you could fill a library of all the stuff I haven't watched. Like that, I probably should, but yeah.
Edward, you disgust me.
Marvel should have made it. I don't know what
films.
It.
Well,
Big Marvel fan.
I just think they've done well, man.
We can talk
they've
about.
done well.
What, Marvel?
Yeah, we can talk about Marvel in general, and
Nav's not a huge Marvel.
I know. I feel kind of left out here, guys. I do like Batman though.
So do you know
that's
about,
DC though.
DC, I know. Yeah.
Do you know about the situation where Disney have basically purchased everything now, so they can?
So have they just got Fox and something else as well?
So now they've got X-Men under their belt.
Deadpool.
I like Deadpool, by the way.
Even though in a lot of the comics there's interactions between the Avengers and the X-Men.
Oh, right.
Because they were owned by different studios, they couldn't really put them in the same films. But now that they're all owned by Disney, you could potentially have a single Marvel
I quite like this concept of the whole universe thing. Like that's just feels kind of recent, isn't it?
It is quite, it's a quite recent
and I
thing.
think it's quite cool, when you see these sort of crossovers and stuff like that. I don't know, maybe it's just me, I just need to get into it, but...
Yeah, they did it with Unbreakable.
My mum has just started.
Yeah, well, she started it because it's
watching
like
the films in chronological order, so I sent her the list.
Just skip
send me the list
and just go straight.
No,
to
but that's
Iron Man.
not that. Yeah, no, but that's not. There's a new updated list now because they've slotted Captain Marvel in because that's like the 90s, isn't it? So it's Captain America: The First Avenger is number one.
Yeah,
the first one you need to watch. Then it's Captain Marvel, and then so on and so forth. But if you're going to skip one or two, I would recommend skipping The Incredible Hulk and Thor 2: The Dark World. Both a bag of bollocks.
Both were really poor. They were really poor.
But I just watch all of them. Mate.
Yeah, we just go through and watch the whole lot.
But you have to watch it in order because they do sort of interact. Because it's a universe.
Yeah,
There's quite a lot of films. How many films has there been?
Oh, hang on.
There's 3 Iron Men.
Let's have a look.
There's 2 Captain America films. No,
3
Captain America films.
Captain America.
First Avenger, Winter Soldier, and Civil War. Then there's Infinity War. There's loads.
Where does X-Men fit in? Are they part of the...
They're part of Marvel Comics, but not part of the cinematic universe.
Right. So now that Disney have purchased them, we're hoping...
They said they're going to basically reboot X-Men, but they're going to keep Deadpool going as it is.
All right, and they're going to integrate...
They're rebooting X-Men again?
Yeah.
But they're just bringing out the Dark Phoenix.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the last one, because they made another horror film, like I think The New Mutant, starring the girl who plays Arya in Game of Thrones.
Oh, right,
Maisie Williams.
Yeah, but I think they're not sure if they want to bring that out, because, I don't know, maybe it doesn't fit in with their plans or whatever, but they've made it already. They might as well just bring it out and then reboot after that, I guess.
Is Hugh Jackman still going to be Wolverine?
I think
I think he's done.
Oh, is it?
Right, here we go. So if anyone's interested, Nav, if you're interested. So it's Captain America: The First Avenger, Captain Marvel, Iron Man 1, Iron Man 2, Thor, the Hulk, Avengers, number 1. Iron Man 3, Thor: The Dark World, bin that, it's shite. Captain America: The Winter Soldier.
I quite liked that.
Guardians, The Winter Soldier?
Yeah,
The Winter Soldier.
It's a great film.
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
They're all good.
The Avengers: Age of Ultron, Ant-Man, Civil War, Black Panther, Spider-Man: Homecoming, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Doctor Strange, Ragnarok.
It's going to take me all year to watch this.
And
you need to do it in time for the
I know, I'm going to take some time off work.
Infinity War.
But aren't you catching up with Game of Thrones?
Yes.
All right, good man.
21 films.
That's good, man.
You're catching up with Game of Thrones.
No, well, I've been catching up since like Christmas. No. So I'm actually on the last season now. So
I bought my mum them all for her Mother's Day present.
See, I wouldn't think. I couldn't watch shows like that with my mum.
No, I wouldn't watch it.
But yeah, well, the fact that
she can watch it on her own.
Too many, mate.
I suppose in the later series though they get rid of that, didn't they? It's in the first few series it was really rife, and then they sort of tailored that down. Yeah.
When Momoa is all up inside her.
Yeah. It's like, did any of you guys watch Boardwalk Empire?
Calm down,
No,
mate.
do you know, a lot of people, is that the one with what's his name?
Martin Scorsese directing it, yeah.
And
Steve
Buscemi, yeah.
Oh, I watched...
That was underrated, no one talks about it, but...
I watched the first series, and then didn't watch any more, but my mum and dad watched it all the way through, and they said it was amazing.
A lot of people say it's good. Yeah.
I think it's
finished now, yeah?
I think it's brilliant.
How many seasons?
Yeah. They did 5 seasons, and he just signed up for 5. 10 episodes, I think, per season. And
we've talked about this
really
before, and I don't want to start you on a rant, but like Lost kind of ruined me for TV shows. Like I think Game of Thrones is the only thing I've invested in. Everything else since then,
Lost.
Yeah, I can't really.
Lost should have finished so much. It should have finished so much quicker than it did.
Nav believes that they knew what they were doing all the way through.
No. I think it was a money spinner.
And
they basically rewrote it to spin it out. I think that's what happened.
That's what I think. They had a great concept, but they didn't know how to properly end it. So they kind of pushed it, and then it ended.
Got a bit ridiculous for me. It did actually. I had to stop watching as well. I didn't watch it in all the way through because it was like all of a sudden there's a different group of these people and it was just like, where did they come from?
No, I watched it all the way through, and that's what put me off like long TV series like Boardwalk Empire, anything like that.
I never entertained Lost at all. I've never even seen one. But so what's the basic outcome? Was it some island?
They're on a plane and they basically they just sort of.
I'm saying that. It's just because Ed knows how to get me going, but I'm not even going to go with it.
Break it.
For the benefit of the pod, can you just explain?
Nav, you're the expert. Nav, you are the expert.
Lost is about.
I'm the expert because I love Lost. It's probably my favourite TV show ever made.
7. 6.
Yeah, I watch,
six.
Just before you explain it, I watch a series called Supernatural, and that's like on its 15th series.
Oh really? Yeah. I mean, there's loads of. I mean, Simpsons is on its.
But that's a different.
Isn't it saying, yeah.
Also, Marvel. Disney bought Simpsons as well as everything else. That's part of the right. I think that's part of. They bought Fox Entertainment. They own Simpsons now as well.
Bloody hell! That's the monopoly.
Old Walt would be loving life, wouldn't he? Bless him.
That's the monopoly, right?
I didn't realise Disney sits above.
Now, well,
do you know wrestling? You know.
I think I think their television production is now owned by Disney, but I think maybe the TV companies in themselves, I think they weren't part of the deal.
Oh right.
So it's like film and like television. So they now own the rights to The Simpsons, and as well as like the Marvel characters that they sold when they were in financial difficulties back in the day. That's why all the different studios own.
Yeah, so they don't necessarily own the back catalogue, but anything that comes after that, I suppose whoever produces it or makes it will have to pay a licensing fee to Disney if someone else is going to do it, or they bring it into their one of their in-house studios to produce it.
I'm going to sound really naive then. So you got Disney then? Who's Disney's competitor? Who else? They
don't have one now. They've bought them all.
well, they're a studio, so you have say Paramount and
is Netflix different from Disney then?
No. See, this is where Disney. This is what prompted. I was reading an article about why Disney was started buying up everything, and what prompted them to do it was they had to change the way that they were operating because of your Netflix and your Primes. So they were losing a lot of the market share to on-demand TV. Right. So what they did is they started buying the rights to the actual programs, so that if Netflix wanted to make a Marvel series, they would then have to pay Disney for the rights to do that. So they did it out of necessity, really, because Disney were sort of failing. So the only way that they could survive was to purchase the rights to all these things, so that if any of these streaming platforms want to create a show based on it, they would have to.
No,
pay.
But I think to disagree slightly, I think Netflix were paying to make the Daredevils, the Jessica Jones, and all that stuff.
Yeah, but not Disney.
No, but because Disney owns Marvel, so they were paying. It was a deal with Disney overall to make it, but then Disney have their own plans to make their own streaming service.
No, you have to remember they were making those before Disney had Marvel.
They've had Marvel for quite a long time though. They've had it for maybe, I think the first Iron Man was Marvel on its own, but then quite soon after.
Oh really?
But then quite after that, Disney, quite not too long from that, Disney bought Marvel, and then proper investment in the cinematic universe came from Disney pushing it.
So what's happened for the fact that Disney have basically made Netflix cancel all of the Marvel
I think apparently Netflix did it on their own, because I think maybe they want to have their own titles. Right. So I think a lot of the rights to films from other studios, they kind of like shifted away, and they kind of invested a lot in making their own things, like the Stranger Things.
So original
content. And I think apparently, like, because Disney are also building their own streaming service.
Yeah, I've heard about that as well. Disney Now or something.
I'm not sure what it's called.
It's like something like Disney Now.
Maybe
they're gonna have a load of Marvel series on it.
Yeah, exactly. Because
Scarlet Witch and Vision.
Yeah, and I think even Loki as well. I think.
Yeah, Loki signed up for something.
And like what's that? And the Falcon. The Falcon. I can't remember. Is that his name? Like Captain America's best mate. Like Falcon. Yeah. I think he's gonna have one as well. But I guess, like, with Netflix cancelling, they don't want to maybe promote other people's products, and maybe it gives Disney the opportunity to get their stuff back as well sense. Under their own.
What about Joker? Have you guys heard about Joker with Joaquin Phoenix?
Yeah, I've seen the trailer for that.
Is that a Netflix thing?
No, that's because DC's like titles are owned by Warner Bros. Like, and they've owned it for quite a long time. I think they own the whole of DC.
So Warner Bros. Could be the counterpart to Disney then in that sense.
Yeah.
Oh no,
I reckon potentially they can, but
they had the potential to be, but.
They did, but Disney are just doing too much waves now. Yeah.
I think Warner Bros. Didn't put the right people in charge.
Really?
I think when Disney purchased Fox,
that's a big one.
That was a massive one. I never thought it would happen. But the fact that Disney have now bought Fox,
it's good for Marvel, because now they have the rights to their own. Apart, like, I suppose Spider-Man and like the Spider-Verse with like Venom and all those, they're still owned by Sony.
Yeah. But
it gives like Disney, at least they have. I think Fantastic Four is back with them now. Fantastic Four, X-Men, and Deadpool. I think they're back with Disney and Marvel. So
supposedly the next franchise bad guy is Galacticus.
Yeah, that's gonna Fantastic Four
will come into it.
So they already had that kind of shite film with a Silver Surfer.
That's going to be exciting though, to have the planet. Is he the Planet Eater?
Yeah. That's
because the rumours are that it's either or Captain America or Iron Man die in Endgame, and then Captain Marvel is going to be the new leader of the Avengers.
Yeah.
So who would win in a fight then? A geeky question from me then. But who's the best? Is Batman still the best? That's my idea.
Oh my god.
Is he
Batman,
not? No. Batman wouldn't beat up
a fight out of who?
Batman and Captain
America. Different. Well, to be honest, apparently I think in a comic book,
Batman's just a man.
He's
got a super soldier.
He's a billionaire though, so maybe he could.
He's got all those gadgets. Batman's got all those gadgets. Yeah.
It is funny. It is funny when he says that. Oh, what's your superpower then?
Yeah.
That was hilarious.
So
that kind of copied the first Avengers film, like Captain America's to Iron Man. What's this? What if you don't have the suit? Yeah, if you don't have the suit, exactly.
Iron Man is the equivalent of Batman, and Superman is the equivalent of Captain America.
There's a load of because even like Green Arrow is a billionaire as well. So it's kind of there's like Atom or something. There's loads of them in those.
Atom.
Ray Palmer.
Ray Palmer's sort of meant to be like an Iron Man-y sort of.
Yeah, we're getting kind of geeky now, I think.
And no, that's cool, because I want to know who's the best.
Atom is like sort of Iron Man, Ant-Man cross.
Yeah, they kind of copied each other a lot in this stuff as well. But
Spider-Man, he's alright now.
Spider-Man's quite unique.
Just shoot a net at you.
He's quite unique. He doesn't really have a counterpart on the DC side. I think Spider-Man is just an original. Like, you can tell that Batman and Iron Man, they're both billionaire playboys.
Right.
They both do their thing with tech. It's like they're quite similar in terms of their characters and how they are.
I suppose their backstories, like I suppose Batman is kind of fueled by like vengeance and
his parents dying and
I suppose Iron Man, like I suppose in the films his parents were killed and we found that out in Civil War
when he has a fight with Captain America.
But it's not really part of his backstory in the same way that is with Batman as well. But
they're similar. So it's a similar sort of setup. And Captain America is essentially your super.
But Hulk will smash everyone up. To answer your question,
Hulk's
in my view, but maybe
Hulk's indestructible.
Maybe Superman, because he's kind of like Superman will probably because he's just overpowered.
The Hulk can do it on another planet. Superman needs a yellow sun.
Yeah, that's true. Superman has his weaknesses, I guess.
He needs a yellow sun. If there's no yellow sun, he's just normal. And
what about Thor?
Squishes him.
Yeah, I think
Thor as well.
Love a bit of Thor.
Yeah.
See, the problem with the Hulk is that his power is infinite, because as long as he can keep getting angrier, he gets stronger.
Yeah,
Captain Marvel's meant to be the strongest in the Marvel universe, apparently, though.
No, she is supposed to be the strongest. That's why she's coming into lead the pack.
I don't think she is. I think the Hulk, and it's pretty much, if you look at what they do is they rank them based on, I can't remember what they do it in X-Men as well. Like they're like, there's a class, there's like S class, A class, and I think the Hulk, he comes under S class because he's just basically, as long as he can keep getting angrier, he just keeps getting stronger.
Actually, Wolverine can't die, can he? Wolverine will never.
He's got
cut his head
healing
off.
factor. Yeah.
Oh, if you cut his head off, then he dies.
Apparently not. So he's got the same powers as Deadpool, and if you cut off Deadpool, he will just grow back.
Yeah, he'll grow back. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's got that.
No, but he's only got an adamantium skeleton. That's it.
No, he's got healing factor. That's how Deadpool gets his powers.
Yeah, it's true.
From Wolverine.
So yeah, Wolverine surely's got to be the best.
Yeah, so that, you know, in Deadpool,
but he's not super strong though.
Oh, he's not strong. Yeah,
he gets injected with, which is why he makes so many references to Wolverine.
About his shiny sack and all that.
Are you sure that's how it went? Because I thought,
that was in the original. That was in the original story, wasn't it?
No, in the comics I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. In the comics, it was.
Cool,
because if you remember the
Wolverine
origin story, that's supposed to be Deadpool.
Yeah, or Ryan Reynolds. Yeah.
And that's how Deadpool gets his powers is derived from Wolverine's. So during the Weapon, he was the second Weapon X basically. So it was Wolverine was the original Weapon X.
Yeah.
Then they took the genetics of Wolverine and tried to use that into Wade.
Cool.
And he became Deadpool.
Yeah.
With his healing factor. But yeah, apparently Wolverine can have his head chopped off.
That's mental.
In the death of Wolverine, they kill him by basically just submerging his whole body in adamantium. So they just drop a load of adamantium, like melted all over him.
May I just say though that probably the funniest scene of both Deadpools combined is when he's got his little legs.
That is hilarious.
And he crosses them like Sharon Stone.
But I think the best bit about all of that is when Josh Brolin goes to get something out of his thing and he pulls his thing round, doesn't he? And they all point their guns at him and he goes, "Oh, I'm just getting something out of my survival pack." And the ginger guy's like, "It's a fanny pack and you know it, you sick son of a bitch." The difference is night and day. That cracks you up. He's hilarious, that guy. But do you know he's been dropped from the films now because it was there's some rape charge or sexual assault or something.
Really?
So he's been binned.
But they might bring him back like they brought James Gunn back for.
Yeah, what did apparently James Gunn do?
I think he put some controversial tweets. Like he's making joke tweets about, I think, paedophilia and rape or something like that.
Yeah.
And then
you got to be so careful.
But they all basically turned around and said that they weren't going to do the film unless he was.
But I think that was also like motivated because I think the thing with Roseanne happened like maybe just recently to that, and I think people on the right were looking at people on the traditionally the left and basically looking for equivalents. So like, how come you abandoning Roseanne when this person said this, which prompted Disney to like kind of like, okay, if we can't have double standards. But then I suppose the film was fucked without him. So
I'm not sure I agree with something. You remember there was that politician who's like got cerebral palsy. I can't remember. I think it might have been a Labour. No, I think it might have been either a Labour. It might be a Labour councillor, or I think he was maybe an MP. I can't remember his name now.
I don't know. Never heard.
But he made tweets like back in the day when he was young. Like he's like one of the youngest ever MPs, but he made, and they were pretty bad comments. But do you think that people should be held to account for something that they made when they were still in their development stages? I don't know if that's a real reason to then start banning people.
I don't think so. Yeah,
I think make mistakes, man.
Exactly, people grow. I mean, with the whole Kevin Hart thing as well from 5 years ago.
Yeah,
he dropped out of the Oscars because of that.
I thought he got dropped out, or he was going to get fired basically because of it. So it's just like, come on, he's making a joke 5 years ago, and he's apologised for it.
Yeah, I mean, like people make mistakes. I mean, to be quite honest, if someone's changed their opinion to then do something that's really positive, isn't that just life?
It shows
experience?
growth.
It shows like it shows.
It's
growth.
like Eddie Murphy's Raw and Delirious.
Yeah.
Probably the funniest shows for me. Eddie Murphy's the best comedian ever, but the jokes he makes then, you can't. Have you guys seen it, by the way?
Yeah.
You know, like the gay jokes and all this sort of stuff. It's just like
it's of that time.
It's exactly, and it's fine.
It's like Mike Reed. I was showing you those clips of Mike Reed.
Reed's pretty bad.
Some of those jokes.
Is that your favourite, Mike Reed?
And Roy Chubby Brown.
He's quite funny. Yeah.
Dave
Chubby
Chappelle
Brown. I've never got Chubby Brown. I've never been a fan.
I never watched Chubby Brown.
Yeah, I've never been a huge fan. Mike Reed's funny. But they're just old jokes, aren't they? Just like old school
of
jokes.
That time.
Yeah, but you wouldn't. Then he, like, you know, you can't. I don't think you can really hold people to that. I mean, people do. They do grow up, and if it's of the time and it's what was going on, you have to just. People are a product of their environment, and if that's how the environment was, that's how the environment is.
I certainly don't think they should be punished by it or anyway.
No, I don't. I don't think they should be losing their jobs and stuff like this, which is what happens. It's like they've not done anything wrong in their job, but you're gonna now say that they can't do a thing because of a comment that they made X amount of years ago, and it's like that's like. Come on.
I actually think that's why there's nothing funny anymore, because everyone's just afraid to make jokes.
Everyone is so scared of making jokes.
It's the death of comedy. I mean, it's not that much funny stuff at the moment.
Yeah, like I suppose I need like that raw shit. Like I suppose Eddie Murphy raw, Dave Chappelle, like Chris Rock. That even for Frankie Boyle here, he's still pretty funny. But it also
even Richard Pryor.
Yeah, but I don't really like. What's that guy? I don't like. Or Michael McIntyre for one. Like he's not really my type.
He's
of comedian.
a shithouse.
See, it's not risky at all, is it?
Yeah, it's just kind of like that animated kind of comedy that when he's just making funny.
It's not
faces.
risky at all.
Yeah. What's that? John Bishop as well, like the guy.
Yeah, I don't like.
I don't like him either. He's not really funny.
Kevin Bridges.
He's a scouser, isn't
he? Is it Kevin Bridges? Is it Kevin Bridges? The Scottish
anti-Liverpool bias.
I love him. I think he's hilarious.
He's quite funny.
I love him. He's hilarious.
Like Frankie Boyle's probably my favourite British comedian.
He's really
Ricky Gervais.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's alright.
For me, Politics and Animals were just brilliant. I thought those two shows. Did you see?
Yeah, no, I did see those.
I don't think his last.
Apparently, Afterlife supposed to be very funny.
Yeah,
I've not seen it.
I loved it. I love Gervais. Gervais and Merchant.
I like the podcast. I think a lot of the shows, like for me, it's just too cringe. It's too cringe. I can't really.
Extras and The Office are two of the greatest sitcoms.
Office number one for me. Yeah.
Office
brilliant.
only watched. I've never watched the whole thing. I only seen bits of it. I know.
And Extras.
Extras. I've never watched Extras.
Extras is brilliant. Yeah. Steve Merchant and Gervais. When you get the two of them together,
are they still working together though? Because
they do a lot of separate projects. But I mean, they both did The Office and Extras together.
Yeah.
That was them, innit?
Merchant wasn't involved in Afterlife though, was he?
No. I don't think he was
and Derek. I don't think he was part of Derek.
No, Derek was a failure in my opinion.
It wasn't great.
Really didn't like
because I think it wasn't funny, but I think the thing is Gervais was going for more of a drama type of thing.
Okay.
Which is he does that a little bit in Afterlife, so it's a bit of a mix. It's got some comedy in it, but it's got a very serious topic at its core, and it's basically essentially he's lost his wife.
Right. Like hearing how he talks about comedy today, I think it sounds like he's trying to challenge himself with like projects like Derek and Afterlife as well. It's kind of like people say you shouldn't joke about these type of things, and especially on Twitter, he's really firing back saying anything you should be able to joke about anything. And I suppose he's taking topics like I suppose mental health or with Derek. I suppose is it mental health or learning difficulties?
It was mental health issues. With Derek,
and and learning difficulties as well. And then with Afterlife about death as a whole and trying to find the funny in that. Sounds like he's trying to challenge himself, which is it's good.
Which is a good thing.
Yeah,
it's a good thing. You don't want more of the same. Well, some people do want more of the same, but I kind of feel like you, as a person, you should.
I respect that.
I agree. I think it's all about context. If it comes from a place of genuine love and comedy, then the example that I think about is, do you guys remember Bernard Manning?
Yeah.
So do you know him, Shane? No. Okay, so he was basically a racist comedian,
right?
And you could tell from just the context of not only the jokes but of the audience as well. One of the examples, one of the jokes that always stands out to me, because I remember listening to this when I was younger. He goes, you hear a bunch of Indians now saying because they're born in Britain that makes them British, and he goes, that's like saying if a dog's born in a stable, he's a horse. The dog's a horse.
Wow. That doesn't ring true at all. But.
Well, but then he's saying that joke in wherever he's saying it. And then within the crowd, you don't actually hear laughter, you hear cheers.
Yeah.
So for me, that's an indication of, well, here we're talking about racism then.
Yeah, it's a politically
exactly,
charged.
Yeah.
It's a politically charged
and you could quite easily see that by the lack of laughter.
Yeah.
That's not funny. No. It's just, and then the reaction he gets is cheers based. It's not joke based.
But similar to that, like talk back to Gervais, I think in his new stand-up, he makes a similar joke maybe about transgender people. I think he says like, basically comments about self-identifying, and if they could just self-identify as a man or woman, then I could self-identify as a chimpanzee, and it's kind of similar to that joke as well. Which I suppose and I say the similarities because they're using maybe their platform. I don't really agree with that point, by the way, but it's kind of like he's using the platform he has as a comedian to, like, same with Bernard Manning maybe, to like put his personal view in the guise of a joke, because there's not actually an actual joke in that.
That one that you've actually said is actually nonsensical.
Yeah,
you're talking about different species for one. You're saying that a dog.
Obviously, the joke is bullshit.
It's not a joke. He's just
making the same species as a British person.
But he's not. It's not making it. He's just making a statement, and he's using his position as a comedian to pass it off as a joke.
Which is a politically charged statement.
Yeah. I'd say that's maybe similar.
That's a fair point. That is a fair point.
Yeah, I think that whole area is grey anyway, really. Because I suppose if you look at like say sports and whatever, then I'd say how people identify and protecting women's sports, I suppose whatever, then it's a bit of a grey area. But that issue, sounds a bit weird, especially when you bring up the Burning Man thing as well. I see the similarities there.
I
definitely.
And maybe it's just a slightly new concept because race seems to have been throughout history, whereas this sort of gender issue, and I might be wrong here, but from my perspective, it seems relatively new. Like this sort of idea of saying, I'm a woman. What if Brock Lesnar says, I identify as a woman, and he goes fights in the UFC? It doesn't quite. I don't understand it myself. So in terms of the jokes, I wouldn't even know how to react to that.
Yeah, I think with sports, I think it's different really because I suppose we have like say men's sports and women's sports. I suppose you divide them because essentially we're recognizing that the men going through puberty, it does something to us which increases our strength.
Physically different. Let's not pretend anything
exactly.
else. We are physically men and women are physically different.
So when it comes to sports, especially combat sports,
I mean, look at China. I wouldn't like a left hook off her.
Yeah. Fair.
No, I don't mean the country. I mean the female wrestler. Can you imagine getting a left hook off her?
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Yeah, but I mean, generally we are physically.
Yeah, no, I know what you said. There is the odd anomaly.
Yeah.
But also China, she built up to be like that. Like the equivalent guy.
She was a big girl anyway. Yeah. I mean she was like tall and she was
muscly.
But I mean like equivalent guy of the same size as her who built up in the same way would like still have physical advantages over her.
Definitely.
Yeah, because just the nature of being like a man who's gone through puberty.
Yeah, but we're different. I mean, this is the basically the sore spot that a lot of us in society avoid talking about. But let's not pretend men and women are different. Yes, they can do the same things, but they are different. Physically, women are more adept at doing certain things, and physically, men are more adept at doing certain things. It's just a natural. It's just we're different, but we like to pretend that everyone is exactly the same. It's true. We are different, and I probably will get in trouble for putting this out and saying men and women are different. We are different.
It's true. I think especially when it comes to sports, because that's for me like that's kind of where
it highlights the difference.
Of course, and I don't mean it from the perspective that women can't do things that men can do. Of course they can, but I'm just saying that
they open jars? That's what I'm asking.
We are physically different. There is a difference there, and you wouldn't put a man in a boxing ring with a woman who's. You just wouldn't. It would be an unfair fight because of the physical differences. It's not to say that a woman can't box. Of course she can box, and she could probably beat. If she's a boxer, she could probably beat a lot of men who are maybe smaller than her or something. But generally, you don't. Physical difference exists. You don't put to bring it back to the same sex. You don't put a lightweight in the ring with a heavyweight. You just don't do it. There's physical differences there.
Yeah. But I suppose like devil's advocate. What if they're the same weight, a man and a woman? Like the same. What do you think then?
If they were the same weight.
Yeah. So both like lightweights or welterweights or whatever. What do you say then?
Putting them in.
Just to put it out there.
That is a good question.
Because obviously a heavyweight and a lightweight. That's obviously you wouldn't do that. But
even at the same weight, genetically, they're built differently.
Yeah, I think our bones are denser. Like
there's makeups and it's like you've said about puberty. Once we go through puberty, our testosterone levels raise and all that sort of stuff, and we build muscle. Not obviously like Arnold Schwarzenegger
in different
muscle,
places
but
as well.
You're right. And it seems to be that women tend to be firmer built towards the lower parts, and men tend to get broader and they're more built.
Yeah, but this is what I mean. That's what I'm saying. You get the odd man and woman that are different from the typecast, I suppose.
The exception to the rule.
Yeah, but predominantly throughout history, men are stronger than women.
Yeah,
they have. But when they grow and you're fully grown, a man is stronger than a fully grown woman. A fully grown man is stronger than a fully grown woman. So whether they're the same weight category or not, there's still an advantage for the male.
Yeah, I agree. I just wanted to put that.
And that's why I don't think that people should be getting in trouble for saying those certain. And I can see people will go at people for saying things like this.
But it's just the culture we're in. Everyone's offended by everything. Everyone's upset by everything.
Is it not a genetic fact? It's like it's not like I'm rewriting the rules.
No, you're not. It is a
It's
genetic
a genetic fact.
It is. That's what I'm. Yeah, it is an absolute genetic fact that men, fully grown man and a fully grown woman, same weight, but they are stronger.
What is the actual? So, forgive my ignorance. Then, so is it a case of when people say they identify as another species?
Another species.
Species.
Bloody hell! Wow. Actually, I've heard about this as well. Have you heard about this?
Probably is a thing.
There is a thing like this because there's someone wanting to be a dolphin or something.
You mean when people get the implants, say like, and they get their forked tongue?
Yeah.
A lizard.
And there's a cat one.
Are they identified or are they just? I want to look like a lizard.
I don't know. Imagine wanting to be a dolphin though. You can't hold your fucking breath. I mean, what you're going to do? You're just going to float around.
The world's worst dolphin.
Yeah, you can't talk to the other dolphins because you haven't got the old sonar power and all that sort of stuff. What a knob. Anyway.
No, but yeah. So is it that just it, and then just want to have the same benefits as that other person, or
what in terms of gender? Like, to me, it's like earlier you said it's kind of a new. I think for me, it's like just reading up on it. I don't think it's necessarily new. I think maybe our understanding of it in our, like, say, Western culture is new, but it seems to be something that's happened throughout human history.
Yeah, drag queens and cross-dressers and stuff like that.
But I think, like, I heard in like Native American cultures, I think there was like there's groups of people. I think they were called like Two-Spirit people or something like that, where I think it usually, like, what I've heard of is like men who like people are born male, but they behave as women, and they were kind of like accepted as a part of their society. And I think in maybe like Pacific Island like cultures as well, I think there's another group of like predominantly men who like also, they're not necessarily classed as women, but they're classed as something separate to them as well. And I think that's like something that's common to like humanity as a whole, has been interpreted and expressed differently depending on the culture you're in. And I think the culture we're in now is I think after years of maybe being sidelined, is now recognizing this thing as something that happens, and it's trying to deal with it in a way that suits us. That's kind of how I see it. And I think we're still negotiating so this is a thing, that what's acceptable. And I think that's kind of what's going on in the moment, really. But I don't know, I don't have the answers to. I've kind of like, I've got to that, I'm at that point where I suppose like everyone, you're like, what the hell is this? Like, I don't understand this, what's going on. But then kind of just seeing how it's played, just reading a bit more and seeing how it's kind of played out, and how maybe it's been suppressed. Like other, say even like homosexuality, for instance, I suppose it was suppressed, and now it's kind of been understood and accepted. This is maybe a new thing that's also was suppressed and being understood and accepted, but placed in the right.
Yeah, but where do you draw the line?
Yeah, that's the question. I think that's the thing that.
Where do you draw the line? Because
that's the thing. I think no one really knows. Really,
but this is what I mean. You know, sooner or later you're going to get people identifying as a cauliflower.
Well, I guess that's where we draw the line.
Ridiculous.
Really.
Yeah, but do you though? Because if you're saying,
I want to be a cauliflower, leave me alone.
But this is what I mean. So where it's somebody's right, yeah. So it is obviously if you're born a man or a woman and you want to identify as the opposite sex, you're obviously not. You've got all the bits and pieces for said sex that you're born as, but you want to identify as another one. Well, then the argument is that that's their right. That's how they feel. No one can tell anyone how you feel inside and all that sort of stuff. So if I woke up tomorrow morning and felt like a cauliflower.
No, to be honest, I know it sounds like.
Who can tell me that I can't identify as a cauliflower?
I know, the point is that it sounds like being like difficult, but I get the point. Basically, does it come if it's a human right for people to then where is the line drawn? Because why draw it at just gender? Because there's even that woman who there's that woman in America, is it Rachel Dolezal
Rachel Solange?
No, Rachel Dolezal, like the one who
identified as
black. And I suppose is that her right to do that as well? I suppose just to. No, it's not.
But hang on. Why isn't it? But why isn't it? So, like, my point is it's not what the person wants to identify as, because they can identify whatever they want to identify as. What it is what they want, or what I feel that they actually want is they want
to be accepted.
Other people to perceive them as that, which is a different thing. So
I agree.
Like you can identify as whatever you want to identify.
Yeah, just leave me alone. But what's it got to do with me?
It's an expectation of everyone else in society to then perceive you like that, and if they don't perceive you like that, they're in the wrong. And it's like this is why it does need to really be ironed out, because I don't think you can get angry for someone for their perception, because that's something that's innate to that person.
But have you not seen that there's a clip floating around in America, and a guy walks into, he's a man, you can tell he's a man, he's got muscles, but he's wearing a crop top and a jean skirt, and he's got long, like, shoulder length blonde hair. But Adam's apple, the whole lot, he's a man, 5 o'clock shadow, yeah? But he walks into this shop in America and he goes to buy whatever he goes to buy, and the guy, he's only a young guy as well, behind the counter, calls him sir.
Yeah.
And this geezer blows his lid. I'm obviously a woman.
Is he taking the piss, or is it actual?
No, it's obviously they don't film the whole thing. It's just somebody starts filming when the guy's going mental. But he was like, you referred to me as sir, and I'm obviously a ma'am. You should be calling me.
Being a woman. You mean?
Yeah, that's how.
This is exactly what I'm talking about.
Was that person doing it to be? Because there was that guy, I think, a British rapper who he broke the women's powerlifting record because he, for a day, identified as a woman, did the powerlifting, and
that sounds crazy.
No, but I think, and he was doing that just to make a point about how ridiculous it could all be if we just if it's just.
No, but I think this guy actually identified as a woman because it was somebody else filming it on their phone. As you do in a convenience store in America. Cool. And he was going, I want your name, I want to see your fucking manager. He's going absolutely.
That's jokes, as you do, film people randomly on your phone.
But this bloke, the guy, the kid, I'll say a kid, he must have been like 17, 18, and he was stood and he was like, I'm really sorry, ma'am, I apologise. And he just wouldn't let it go. He was just fucking hounding him for it.
I don't understand that, because what you're then saying is that your perception of me is wrong, but we can only go based on the visual stimulus. That you can't expect someone to know what you are. It's like the they and them movement.
Say what?
Is it they and them?
Explain what you mean. Yeah.
So it's like that gender
that
neutral,
they should be the gender neutral thing.
But not his and her, but they and okay.
But
cool.
if you meet a person like this, like there's an instance where I've got a friend she's a hairdresser, and she's got a friend who's now identifying as gender fluid or neutral. I'm not sure what the correct terminology is, and she said that she's all new to it, but so she's trying to get her terminologies correct and not call him or her or whatever. Just try to get that neutrality going. But every time she slips up, he has a go at her. And my beef is that she's known you for 20 years prior to you switching to this. Yeah.
But gender neutrality is where you can wake up one morning and be a boy, and then you wake up the next day and you're a girl. Yeah, that's right, yeah?
Yeah, but I don't. Yeah, but the problem is...
So it's however you feel at that specific time.
Yeah, I don't think that person has the right to have a go at someone else.
Oh, they don't. Yeah, I think it speaks more to that person.
But that's right. That's right, though, isn't it? So it's how the person feels on said particular day.
I thought it was more like you don't identify with either, and you just wanna instead of Mr. and Mrs. MX.
I saw an interview with a girl and she said that one day sometimes she wakes up and she feels like wearing jeans and a hoodie and a baseball cap and bowling round as a geezer, but then other times, like 3 or 4 days in a week, she might wake up and she'll feel like wearing a nice dress or whatever and going out as a girl. So she's identifying as gender neutral because she'll just be whatever. So by that token, then I could wake up in the morning and feel like a girl, like I'll wear a dress and whatever. Oh, sorry, feel like a guy, so I'll get up and I'll go to work dressed as a guy. But it's a Friday, so
we're definitely going to film that podcast if you do
that. It's a Friday, so I'm going out from work. So what I'll do, I feel like being a girl then. So then I'll get into a dress and I'll go for a piss in a girl's toilet.
Yeah, see that? No, and that's actually a good point because that's where the controversy lies. I mean, would you feel comfortable having your child go to the boys' toilets or the girls' toilets, and the man goes for a piss?
That's what I mean.
Well? So that's when it becomes a serious issue.
And that's what I'm saying to you. Where do you draw the line? Where do you stop? Do we then pump hundreds of thousands of pounds into society to build gender-neutral toilets so people can just go in whenever? You know what I mean?
There was that good example of that guy who went to prison, and during his time in prison, he went to prison for sexual assault, and during his time in prison, he decided that he identified as a woman.
Oh, didn't he come back out and then sexually assault about 10 women?
So they moved him to a female prison,
and he sexually assaulted them.
Everyone.
Yeah, I've read about that. Yeah. He sexually assaulted people on the women's wing. I mean, it's like...
I know these are isolated cases, and I'm not saying that.
Imagine if Ted Bundy was alive now. He'd have a field day, wouldn't he?
Anyone
Identify as a woman. He'd go to college.
But I'm not saying anyone who's transgender, everyone who's transgender thinks like that, and they want to. But I mean, these are the issues that we have to solve.
I think for me, like, we're negotiating that right now. Like, I think it's okay to have these questions because as a society we don't know. We're kind of negotiating that as the days and the weeks and the minutes and hours go. You know, so I think it's okay to ask these questions really because we don't know.
We don't understand, and the only way you can understand is to ask the question.
Exactly, and without people getting offended.
Yeah, I think that's the point. Like, I think you got to be able to ask questions, you know, and not be either like labelled as like as this or that or ignorant. Like, because to be honest, even ignorant, we are actually, to be honest. We are. I'm ignorant on it. I know a bit.
We are ignorant, but you don't want that label of being ignorant because there's a genuine.
It shouldn't be labelled as an insult.
To understand,
it's
not. It's trying to understand. It's not trying to belittle. I'm not trying to belittle anybody.
Yeah, there's
trying to understand.
There's ignorance and then there's ignorance. Isn't there? I mean, like,
there's asking a question. And
if you're ignorant because you don't know. But if you know and you just choose to ignore,
no, willful ignorance, yeah. No, it's true. It's true.
Do you know what I'm trying to understand is how I asked the question, who's the best superhero? And now we're talking about all this. How do we do that?
How did we get on this?
How did we get to this?
Natural
Who's going to be the first gender-neutral superhero? This is what I'm saying.
So Batman's still the best,
hang on. There was a transgender one in Supergirl that comes on.
Yeah, TV show,
what's that? Dreamer? I think she's the Dreamer. She's actually real-life transgender.
Yeah, no, I heard about it. I don't like that Arrowverse stuff. Arrow season 1 and 2 were great. Then it kind of got cheesy. Flash, meh, kind of cheesy.
With the transgender girl in Supergirl, Dreamer.
Am I the only one that feels like doing that?
She said she was trans. She does say that she's transgender in the show, but I didn't have, and like that one, my perception would be correct because I didn't have a clue that she was previously a boy. I had no clue. I mean,
I just in real life she was actually.
So it happened she was a transgender in real life, and I had no clue. So I wouldn't worry that my perception is going to be incorrect in terms of what they want to identify as, because I just didn't know. I just assumed it was a woman who was just pretending to be transgender as an actor, but she was actually transgender in real life.
Yeah. No, I heard about that. Yeah.
Listen, I said this before. I'm a humanist. Whatever. Just be happy with your life.
It's true. Just be happy.
Don't force feed other people, though. That's what I'm saying. And not everything has to be forced down everybody's throat. Like that poor kid accidentally called him. Accidentally. I mean, the geezer had a beard. Yeah, but all right. Yeah, he had long shoulder length hair and he was wearing a nice top. But he called him sir by accident, and he was like berating him for about 15 minutes, screaming that he wants his number, he wants this, he wants that, he wants.
I mean, my closing point is just for these people that are going through these issues. I know it's difficult for you because obviously you're identifying as something that society doesn't perceive you as, but I think we just need to be a little bit careful to the people who are perceiving you because they're obviously new to it, and without having a conversation with somebody and extensively talking about it, you don't know how to perceive people. I mean, I can have as Michael said about the guy, it's a passing conversation. You're not going to know what that person wants to be perceived as.
He was actually being polite as well by calling him sir.
So I think it works
how can I help you,
both
sir?
ways.
And the geezer's fucking blown his top.
I think it works both ways. We have to have a greater understanding of that person's rights and how they want to be perceived. But at the same time, you have to have a bit of
they have to have a bit more understanding of
understanding about the person perceiving you as well, because obviously it's a new thing for them too. So I think it goes both ways. I think.
But strongest superheroes.
Yeah. Oh, is it Hulk? Oh yeah. Okay.
I think it's Hulk. Well, I don't know. Thor, I think's got a good case. Because I mean, they have a proper old Barney, and no one comes out on top. I swear,
didn't Hulk win in that? What was it? Ragnarok. Yeah, in that fight in the stadium.
No, it's because in Ragnarok, Hulk only wins because your man buzzes his neck, doesn't he? Thor's neck with the thing, but Thor goes all ballistic, doesn't he, and starts going all electric. And he's about to bash him up.
But if the Hulk keeps getting it, it's actually explained that he has infinite,
that's always a good one when he's
power. If he just keeps
he does. He just
keeps getting stronger.
That's always a good one when Odin says to him, "What is Thor the god of? Are you the god of hammers? Or are you the god of thunder?"
Yeah, Batman wins. Let's put it that way.
Okay, thanks. I'm happy with that.
I think he's the worst superhero.
Alright, cool. We done? Yeah. All right, cool.
Yeah.
Cheers,